Hi guys, it's Linton here from Greenbox Markets. Due to the FOMC minutes being released this evening, I haven't been doing much trading today, so I haven't put together any videos for you. So what I thought I was going to do was just give you a brief rundown of my trading strategy and how I apply it to charts. Now, as we know, the market moves in waves. So what we usually see is we see trends, we see retracements, and then we see trends. So if we are able to identify your first trend, in other words, this trend over here, and then we are able to identify this retracement or the corrective structure, we can then trade this second trend leg or the second impulse. And that is the trade that we're all looking for. So how do we identify firstly the corrective structure, and how do we know when the corrective structure has finished and it is time to enter the trade? So what usually happens, obviously, think of this as a daily time frame. What happens is that we see 3-wave or 5-wave formations. When you go down to smaller time frames, your retracement on your larger time frame, like this being the daily time frame, will actually also happen in a wave format. So we'll see it in either a 1, 2, 3 wave format, or possibly a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave format. And what that actually does is it forms a flag. Many of you that follow me in terms of the trades that I post on YouTube, you'll be familiar with the fact that I wait for flag setups in order to enter my trades. So what we've seen here is the initial trend, we're seeing the retracement or the corrective structure formation, and now we're waiting for some kind of sign to enter this trade to the upside. How do we know that this corrective structure has completed and that there's not going to be another wave to the downside? So the price moves up, breaks outside of this corrective structure, a daily candle closes above that structure over there, and everybody jumps into the long and the price reverses and falls and hits their stop loss. We see that happen time and time again. And that is because you haven't had a confirmation that that break has held yet. So remember we said this is a daily time frame. Now what we would do is we would then move down to a 1-hour time frame. So we've seen the initial trend or impulse take place, we've seen the retracement or correction take place, and we're now looking for our trigger to get into this long to the upside. We go down to the 1-hour time frame, and what we want to see on the 1-hour time frame is the formation of a smaller flag. So we've got this big flag on the daily that has broken with a candle, but we need to see the formation of a flag on the 1-hour time frame before we will enter this trade. So we'll see the price move in a 1, 2, possibly 3 wave format, maybe a 4 or 5 wave format. And then when it breaks out of that 1-hour flag, that is my entry for this trade. That is my entry for the second impulse or for the trend to continue. And that's basically the strategy in a nutshell, is waiting for your trend to complete, the corrective structure to complete, and then your trigger on the 1-hour time frame in order to enter this trade. Let's have a look at applying that to a chart. I've decided to have a look at the gold chart because it presents quite a nice example for this setup. As we can see here, we've had the initial trend, and we're busy with the corrective structure, and once this corrective structure finishes its formation and it breaks to the upside, we will then enter this trade for the long position. Remember, this is on a monthly time frame, so that could take quite some time for that to complete. Just draw in some structure lines so that we can see exactly where we are and what it is that we're looking for in terms of entry. So here we can see quite clearly that the top of the structure has held, and we can see that the support in the structure is also quite prominent at this point in time. Now what you're going to notice quite nicely is the wave formations. So we've had this 1, 2 wave formation so far. So we're expecting the completion of the third to the bottom of the structure. before we start looking for entries to the upside in order for a break of this structure to form. Remember, this is on a monthly time frame, so we can go down to smaller time frames and look for smaller entries over here and trade up to the top of this structure. Once we're at the top of this structure, we can then wait for formations to see if it's actually going to break, and we can enter on the larger time frames to the upside as well. So we've seen that it has completed 2 waves. We're waiting for the 3rd wave to complete to the downside. Let's just move down a time frame. If I go to the weekly, remember I said everything moves in waves. So we've had that 1-2 wave completion on the monthly, and we're expecting the 3rd. So if you look at this now, on the weekly, we can quite clearly see that that's exactly the same formation that's currently taking place here. So we've had this 1-2 wave structure complete. Now we're expecting the 3rd to the downside. Okay, and that is the trade that we're all looking for. That's the one that we want to take down to the bottom of the structure and then start looking for the longs to get back into this position to the upside. So if we move down another time frame, down to the daily, we can see this structure formation with the initial trend or impulse, this being the correction, and we're looking for an entry to the downside over here. So let's have a look at this corrective structure. Now on this corrective structure, we can also quite clearly see the wave count. So you can see that the repetitions on the waves is the most powerful tool when it comes to trading. So here we can see, let me just draw them in for you quickly. So you can see 1, 2, 3 waves completed, and here the structure has broken to the downside. So it was just a 3-wave structure and has broken to the downside, indicating that we need to start looking for entries for this impulse completion over here to this downside over here. Let's move down to the 1-hour time frame in order to look for our entries, because remember what we said is we see the setups on the daily. So we've seen the impulse, we've seen the retracement or the corrective structure, and it has broken. So now we need to see our entry on the 1 hour. Okay, so this is the 1 hour time frame. And here we can see the bottom of the structure where it did clearly break out of the structure, but we didn't see any real flag formations in terms of entry there. So what I want to see is this structure formation over here. I would like to see this break to the downside. Once this structure breaks to the downside, I am going to look for a smaller flag to form, and that will be my entry. So let me just give you an idea here of the price. So if we see the price move down through this support line over here, the bottom of the structure on the 1 hour, and we see it give us a couple waves, that will give me my entry to the downside. And what we will then do is we will start moving our stop loss further and further into profit as we move down. Because remember, each time frame that I moved down now was, or if we moved back up the time frames, we would see that all of them are indicating to the downside. So what I want to do is try and lock in profits all the way down. And if we go and have a look back at the weekly time frame on this, on gold, we can see here exactly where the target is, where we're expecting it to go. It's a long way down. So what I want to do is I want to enter this trade over here as close as I can to the top, so on that 1 hour break. And then I want to move my stop loss further and further and further into profit as we move down towards this target. Remember, there are news events and things that take place, and that's why we have stop losses, and that's why we keep moving them further and further down, so that if something does happen and the price spikes back up, it will hit our stop loss and we will make a profit on the trade, and we will look for another setup to get short on that particular trade. I really hope that this brief overview of the strategy will help you. There is a lot more in-depth information. If you want more information, please feel free to contact us via the website. Also, if you found this information useful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great day. Take care. Cheers.